Okay, we're looking at question one, part B. An industry consists of three firms with sales of 200,000 kwacha, 500,000 kwacha, and 400,000 kwacha. Calculate the Herfindahl-Hertzman index. Calculate the four firm concentration ratio, and based on the FTC and DOJ horizontal merger guidelines, would a merger between the firms with sales of 200,000 and 500,000 likely be blocked? Explain. All right, colleagues. So we're going to first look at the pronouncing this word, Herfindahl Hertzman index. All right. Here you want to see how concentrated the market is. Okay. A highly concentrated market is when there are small number of firms that hold majority of the market. Okay. Where they control most of the sales in the industry. A lower concentration means there are a lot of firms in that industry and they have all got their market shares. Okay. So the way we get this HHI index, the Herfindahl-Hirschman index, step one is we need to calculate the market shares for each firm. Okay. Uh-huh. It measures if market is highly concentrated or not highly concentrated. It's like a measuring tool. Here are the guidelines. Okay. Below 1,000, it's a competitive market. Many small players and it's healthy. Okay. 1,000 to 800, moderately concentrated. Okay. Then above 1,800, highly concentrated, meaning it's now a small number of firms that have got most of the market share. So, colleagues, what is the disadvantage? What is the concern? Oh, wait, Madam Angelina, you had a question? Yes, this. Okay, as I do the question, I'll be giving you relevant pointers about the topic and relevant concepts, and I also send you the notes. But this is all about it's in market structures. This okay. This index, okay. You want to know if certain markets are dominated by a few companies or they are dominated by many companies. If few companies dominate a market, there is an issue there. That was the question which was about to be brought. Like, what is the problem if few firms dominate the market? There are a lot of players in the market, but few firms are the ones that control most of the market share. What can happen? What can be the disadvantage? What are the consequences that can happen? These firms can come together and form a cartel, okay, and start exploiting customers because they know they've got the market share. They know that they've got most of the customers there. So if they come together and say, okay, let's now increase prices for these customers so that we make more profits, such things can happen there. So usually you don't want a market where few firms have got a lot of control. So, Madam Angelina, here basically we just want to find out, is the market highly concentrated or is the market not highly concentrated? That's all that we're trying to find out, okay? Yes, but you need to also remember market structures. After I do some of these, after I do these questions, we'll go through market structures. You have to remember the monopoly, perfect competition, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. Okay, so this is how you get the HHI index. All right, it's just a few steps. Okay, first you get each firm's market share. Okay, each firm you're going to get their market share. How you get the market share? You just get the total sales. Remember, the firms have got sales of 200,000, 500,000, and 400,000. So you get what's the total sales. So you can say 200,000 plus 500,000 plus 400,000. You get 1,100,000. Those are the total industry sales. So you're going to say out of this 1,100,000, the first firm, what is its share? So you say the firm's share, 200,000, divided by the total market share, 1,100,000, times 100. Okay, so 200,000 divided by 1,100,000 gets 0.1818. Multiply that by 100. From one's share of the market is 18.18%. We go to firm 2. Okay, the total sales in the industry, 1,100,000. Firm 2 sales are 500,000. So 500,000 divided by 1,100,000, you get 0.4545. Okay, multiply by 100, that is 45.5%. Firm 3, their share is a 400,000. Remember, their sales are 400,000. Total industry sales, 1,100,000. So you get 0.3636. Multiply by 100. Firm three's share is 36.36%. Any questions on step 1? Step 1, calculate the market shares for each firm. That is step 1. Get the market shares for each firm. Are we okay with step 1? Step 2, okay. You- to get the HHI index, the market shares for each firm, you're going to square them and then add them up. Okay, these market shares we've got here, 18.18, 45.45, 36.36. We're going to square all of these and add them. Okay, we square all of them and add them. Okay, so let's have our calculators also so that we make sure these figures are real. 18.18 squared plus 45.45 squared plus 36.36 squared. So 18.18 squared gives us 330.51 plus 45.45 squared gives us 2065.70, and then 36.36 squared gives us 1322.05. Okay. Then when you add these up, 330 plus this plus that, you get an HHI index of 3,718.26. So this number, you're going to compare it against this scale according to the guidelines. Okay. Okay. Below 1,000, it's okay. 1,000 to 800, moderately concentrated. It's, it's also okay. But above 1,800, it's highly concentrated, meaning there are few firms that are dominating the market. So this market is highly concentrated, colleagues. Okay, because as we've seen, there are only three firms in it. Okay, so you would expect it to be highly concentrated, right? Yes. So this is a concern to governments. Okay. Yes. Any questions? So we've done part one, which is just calculating the HHI index. He never asked us to interpret or anything. He just wanted to calculate it. But for your sake, I added those interpretations so that you see what's happening in the question. So any questions before we move to part two, where we have calculated the four firm concentration ratio? All right. So okay. The four firm concentration ratio. Remember the market shares for each firm? Yes, you just add them up. And to tell you, here there are no, there are only three frames, there are not four frames. So either way, the process still remains the same. Okay. To get the four firm concentration ratio, you're just adding the market shares of each of the firms. All right. And the answer that you get tells you how much of the industry is controlled by these firms. Okay. We squared them. So 18.18% plus 45.45% plus 36.36%, which gives us 99.99%, which is basically telling us these three firms control 99.99% of the market sales. Okay. That's all that it tells you. It just tells you how much of the market sales is controlled by the firms. And in this case, it's 99.99. Basically, they've got the whole market to themselves, these three firms. Okay. They've got the whole market to themselves. And this looks like the oligopoly market structure. The oligopoly market structure, if you remember, it's where a few firms dominate the market. All right. And firms are interdependent amongst each other. All right. Yes. Any questions before we go to part three? Yes, this is quite right, and because 99.99 is just rounded off is 100%. And that 0.1%, which other firm can control 0.1%? Maybe that firm has got one customer then. But yes, madam, it's also fair to say just 100%. Okay. But I would advise in the exam, if whatever value you get, just stick to that number. Okay, I just rounded it off here for explanation sakes. Okay. Yes. So these are the guidelines. All right. Right. If the full frame concentration ratio is below 40%, it's a competitive market, meaning there are a lot of firms and each of them have got their slice of the market. Okay. But if it's above 60%, okay, it's a tight oligopoly, meaning the only few firms are dominating. And the further you go above 60%, the fewer the firms that dominate. Okay, or the higher the dominance of those firms. Okay. Based on the FTC and DOJ horizontal merger guidelines, would a merger between firms with sales of 200,000 and 400,000 likely be blocked? Okay, so one there are guidelines in every market, okay, which can allow some firms to merge and other firms to merge. Okay. But there are certain instances where these mergers can be blocked because they know that once these firms merge, you're going now to a monopoly. Okay. The more the firms merge, you're going now into a monopoly market structure. Remember monopoly market structure, where you have one single firm that dominates the market. One single firm controls the market. They can raise prices as much as they want, right? They don't care about the customers, they care about their profits. Okay. So these measures get blocked because what governments want to prevent is having monopolies in the market. Whenever you have a monopoly in the market, it's bad for the consumers because that firm or that single firm is going to um, take advantage and abuse the customers. All right. So first, let's just see the guidelines by yes. So when firms merge and the HHI is greater than 1,800. Oh, when the majors, when firms merge and the HHI increases more than 100 points, then such a merger is going to be blocked. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge the firms and we're going to see what's going to happen to the HHI index. If the HHI index increases more than 100 points, that merger has to be blocked. Okay, colleagues? We're going to merge the firms and we're going to calculate a new HHI. And if that HHI increases more than 100, that merger is going to be blocked. Okay, because it means that firm that has merged, those two firms that have merged, they're going to have the bigger market share now and they can start exploiting customers. Okay. So the merger is between firm one, which had sales of 200,000, and firm three, which has sales of 400,000. Okay. So we have to calculate what is if we merge these firms together, what is their market share going to be? Okay. So remember, the market share of firm one was 18.18%, and the market share of firm three was 36.36%. So if these two firms combine, the total market share they're going to have as a single firm is going to be 55.54%. Okay. Two firms are merging, so we're finding their new market share, right? The other firm, firm two, its market share still remains the same, 44.5%. Okay, remember here these market shares here. So this firm and this firm are joined. So combined together, their market share is 54.45%. Firm 2, their share still remains at 45.45%. Okay. So to calculate the new HHI, all right, remember the market share as you square them. So 54.54 squared plus 45.45 squared gives 54.54 squared gives you 2,974.61. 45.45 squared still gives us 2,065.7. Okay, so the new HHI for these two frames now, since two frames have combined, so now there are only two frames in this market. So the new HHI is going to be 5,040.31. Okay. Very highly concentrated market because now there are only two frames in there. Okay. So now we want to see if this will be blocked. We said this measure is going to be blocked if the HHI increases more than 100 points. Okay. So let's find out how much our HHI has increased when these two frames merged. Our original HHI was 3,718.26. Remember? The one we calculated here, 3,718.26. That was the original one. The new HHI is 5,040.31. So 5,040.31 minus 3,118.26, you get 1,322.05. So the HHI has increased by 1,322 points. That is way more than 100 points. So this merger is going to be blocked. Basically, they're going to tell them frame 1 and frame 3, you cannot merge. Okay? You cannot merge. No, 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 that's it. Wait, you ask you first, you ask about this, you ask about the 100 points. The 100 points is the standard. If the HHI increases by more than 100 points, then mergers are going to be blocked. So, now here it is increased by 1,322 points. Mhm. Here the HHI has increased by 1,322 points, which is way more than 100 points. Okay. So this is going to be prevented. Okay. Yes. Yes. Is a go ahead. So yes, well put, madam.